Hello guys, I haven't got a lot of time today, but I'll keep this brief. It's going to be an interesting talk. It's going to split the majority of people. You're either going to love this one or you're going to hate it. Now, I think a lot of guys are going to love it because it's going to it's going to hit a nerve, it's going to hit home, it's going to resonate with them. The talk is, and if you followed the old MSI College or even First Man, I think I've posted it again, you'll recognize this one, which is, in order to be successful, should men stay single for longer? I think I've always called it, should successful men stay single for longer? But to be honest, thinking about it doesn't really make sense. So in order to be successful, should men stay single for longer? Now, the short answer to this is yes, but there's going to be a slight variation, which I'll get to at the end. But touching on the original topic, should men stay single for longer? Yes, and there's a couple reasons why. Now, number one is time. I think a lot of people will agree that, the same can be true for men, but, we're speaking about on the side of men for this discussion. So, I'm not sexist, but women do take up a lot of time. Women want more time with their partner than I would say men do with their partners. So let's say you're trying to be successful, whether it's in career, whether it's in sports, whether you want to be a singer, whether you just want to master your craft, or whether you're trying to be an entrepreneur. One thing that is consistent throughout all of those crafts is time. You need to spend a lot of time mastering what you're doing, becoming good at it, and that's the only way you'll get to success, putting in a lot of hours. It doesn't matter what you do, unless you win the lotto or something. Now, if you've got a girlfriend, you've got to think about all the weekends that you're spending together. You might meet up a day in the week. You might live together. That's a ton of time. You got to think about birthdays, Valentine's days, all the dates, every movie that comes out. You two have got to go and watch it together, etc. There's a lot of time. If you add it up, individually, it doesn't seem like a lot. Going on one date, going to the cinema, maybe going to meet her parents, going to the let's say family dues, her birthday, your birthday, etc. But when you add it all up, it becomes a ton of time. Step two is money. Now, I don't want to say that women always take your money, because they don't. Let's be honest, right? There's a few gold diggers out there, but the decision is still yours at the end of the day. But when you think about what it's like dating a girl, right, you're going to have to pay for some things at some point, and that's entirely normal. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying if you get in a relationship, guess what? You're going to have to spend a bit of money. We all know this. So when you think about the money aspect, you've got Valentine's Day, you've got presents for birthdays, you've got dates, like we said, you've got dating if you're trying to even get with a girl in the first place. You add all this up, and this is a ton of money that could go back into a business, into a craft. It could buy equipment. It could, pay for travel. You could even just store it in the bank, so you just have peace of mind so that you've got longer to chase your dream without panicking. But so many guys are just eager to get in a relationship, find the hottest girl when they're young. They're chasing girls in the club, spending thousands of pounds each year on like outfits, haircuts, all this sort of thing. And that goes for the time aspect too. The amount of time that most guys, I think including me, to be honest, if I'm being honest with you guys, spent when I was really young, say 18, 19, 20, going out clubbing, trying to find women, the chase never ended. And you think about all that time that you invested, maybe getting a haircut before you went out, let's say buying clothes, maybe getting a great night's sleep the night before and doing nothing for the whole day so you had energy. These sort of stupid things that guys do because they think that getting laid is like the ultimate goal. Touching on another topic, this is why I'm caught on the war here with this topic, but I don't know if any of you have heard of MGTOW, the Men Go in Their Own Way movement. Now, there's 50% of me that says this is silly, it's isolation, men are getting hurt from this. But then there's another side of it where I think to myself, well, maybe this is good for men. Maybe this is exactly what I've been talking about the entire time of, in order to be successful, men should stay single for longer. Not as extreme as MGTOW, but I think it's just some of the stigma that comes with that movement. Because if you actually think about their policies, they're not actually saying that they're going to be away from women forever. They're just saying they want to move away from marriage. They want to move away from the pressures of that the man has to pay for everything. He has to be in great shape, but he also has to want to go out all the time. he should have time for you but also be successful. You know, the pairs don't go together. You either get one or the other. It doesn't work. Either you get a guy who's in shape and doesn't eat shit food with you on weekends, you know, or you get a fat guy that doesn't go to the gym. It's very hard to have the balance unless you sit in the dad bod realm. Let's use a better example. You can't have a guy who's super successful, who spends a lot of time on his business, but then also has time for you. You know, earning a lot of money means a lot of time is going to be wasted. So the two don't go together. So there's 50% of me that believes in that MGTOW movement, but more in the sense of, in order to be successful, men should stay single for longer and then move back towards women when they're in a position to do so. So, I mean, you've got money, more spare time, you can take a day off and your business won't suffer. Maybe because you've got employees, or, you know, it just makes sense at a later date. And most young relationships don't work anyway, do they, guys? Let's be honest. But on the topic of money, just to wrap that up, you know, think about over a year how much you spend chasing women, maybe dating women, maybe having a girlfriend, etc. I think that, let's say 5,000-6,000, it's probably something around about that realm when you actually add it up. I think that money could be better spent, and I think the time could definitely be better spent, because time we just don't get back. Money you can make more of. Now, the third point is mental waste. Thinking about women, you know, all the time. How am I going to get them? Overthinking conversations. You know, I'm going to go where she is. I'm going to go to the gym because she goes at this time. You know, this sort of thing. You've got the drama of, does she like me? Does she not? Maybe you've got a girlfriend. She's causing you hassle. All the arguments. Is she cheating? Does she love me? All these things. I don't think that's good young, because I think it stresses you out and burns out a ton of mental energy, and just energy that could go on things that are better spent. Plus, it wastes your time. Even if you're just thinking about things, that's a waste of time that could be better spent on a business, on a craft, on ideas. You know, some of the greatest men in history stayed single so that they could just sit and think of ideas all the time. Now, I'm not telling you to live that existence all the time. I'm just saying, you know, while you're young, it might be better to invest that time and money more wisely, and that mental strength. Now, the fourth one is selfishness. And selfishness is looked at as a negative trait in the modern era. I think selfishness is the most undervalued quality anybody can have in especially this era. Reason being, all of our time is taken up now watching Netflix, you know, maybe we're meeting up with friends. There's just so much to do now. Everything is accessible. Like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, to be honest, even 20 years ago, when my parents were young, they weren't just jumping on flights and going on lads' holidays, etc., or just flying to a random part of the world just for fun, just for a weekend. We can do that now. So, you know, keeping everybody pleased, everybody happy is hard. But by staying as a single man, what you get is you don't have to get a mortgage. You don't have to have kids. You don't have to go on the holidays if you don't want to. You know, all these things that come with a relationship. You can be a selfish motherfucker in your youth and stay away from all of these things. So marriage especially. Marriage is a huge bill. Let's say your marriage costs you 50,000. Let's say the mortgage was, what's the average now? Let's say you had to put down 80,000. And let's say you've got kids and holidays. You're probably looking at 250,000 over the next 5 years if you ticked all of those boxes. Now, if you were a single man and you were earning that kind of money, imagine putting that into a business idea. Imagine putting that into something like property. You could probably have 5-10 properties in your name, depending on where you live in the world, obviously. But 5 to 10 properties in your name, be renting them out, and, you know, suddenly you're a real estate mogul. So we've got to be mindful, guys. You know, the world wants us to, especially men, there's a lot of pressure on us. The world wants us to be rich at 22. You know, you turn 22 and you go, shit. You know, everybody used to say you're young, go out, enjoy yourself. Now you're 22. It's like suddenly, you know, you have to have a mortgage, kids. You have to have a job worth $2 million a year. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I remember when I was younger, it just changed overnight. It was like I woke up and I had to accomplish all these new goals. You know, and we're pressured to get married. We have to be the ones that earn most money and, you know, pay for all these things. And if you're not the type of guy who wants to settle down, etc., you're a dirtbag and a cheat and all this sort of shit that comes with it, all this negative stigma. But I'm telling you guys, I've done both versions. And when you're young and you want when you're young and you want to be successful, the best thing you can do, stay single, invest all of that time, all of that money, all of that mental strength, and be selfish and put that into you while you still can. Because when you get older, when it's the right time to have these things, guess what? You'll wish you did it when you were younger. Now, I said at the start there's one exception, and there really is. Not all women are bad, right? The majority of them aren't, but they all have different traits. Now and again, you will come across one woman who wants the best for you in every single scenario. And she gets the entrepreneurial thing. She gets that, maybe her dreams will have to take a back seat, or maybe she's on the same road, same path as you are, and if you don't succeed, if things don't go right for you, she's more upset than you are. If you find a woman like that who understands that you might have to work 16 hours a day and she's only going to see you late on a Saturday night and late on a Sunday, then guess what, guys? Sometimes having a woman like that on your shoulder can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than all of the things I've spoken about on this podcast already. So, can this be considered a podcast? I think they're just short snippets, aren't they? We're going to do podcasts in the future, so I don't want to get them confused. But yeah, if you can find a woman like that, guys, it honestly is fantastic. It's probably the strongest thing that you can have in your life. And anybody, I know it's cliche to say, but behind every man is a strong woman, etc., right? But you ask any guy who has got a solid woman behind him, it's so easy. It is so easy having somebody that can believe in you, I don't know if anybody's a UFC fan, but Dustin Poirier, the guy who actually lost to Khabib, his story was inspirational. He wanted to quit and his wife kept him in there, kept him going, and he just fought for the title, which is something he couldn't have dreamed of a couple of years ago. So she was a huge inspiration for him then. And if she wasn't around, he would have quit. So he wouldn't have been as successful as he was. So that's the one exception. But those sort of women are rare to come by, and most guys are trying to hold them down. So if I could go back to being 21 or around that age now, and bearing in mind I'm only 27, but if I could go back 6 years, which is a huge amount of time in a business sense, then I would 100% stay single for that entire period. I'd give up weekends. I still do, to be honest. I'd give up all that money for going on dates, nights out with the boys, getting drunk, etc. I would put every single penny, every single hour, every single mental thought, and I'd be the most selfish guy on the planet, and I would just put it all into my dream, and I'd just be patient. I'd just sit there and be patient, enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and I guarantee you, you'll feel like shit for the first couple of years, but you get to the kind of age I am now, and it starts paying off. Because as I've said before, men peak as they get older, so you might as well work towards that peak and make the most of it than, play all your cards too soon, and you get to your mid-30s and you're kind of burnt out, you're out of shape, you're broke, and, you might have kids and a mortgage, and it's not too late, but it's a lot harder. It's a much larger, much steeper uphill climb. So that's the talk for today, guys. I hope you're enjoying this consistent content, me being back on the mic. Me and my business partner, Steve, we're planning out a ton of content. We're bringing episode 1 of season 1 of a new Top Gear style show for men's lifestyle with all the components that you see and know on First Man. That's going to be super exciting. I cannot wait for that. Fingers crossed we can pull that off. I believe we can. It's a big, ambitious goal. I'm really excited for that. I hope you've been enjoying the new style video projects. I've actually filmed all of them myself. I learned how to do it. I thought it'd be a great way to, get them done more consistently while saving money. There's no way I'm throwing 2,000-3,000 at each project. It's just stupid. I want to get one done, maybe 3 done a week in the future, plus podcast interviews, and then that big show that I was talking about, plus these as well, and the occasional article, because I don't believe people read too much anymore. I think people, I think audio is number 1, because people just whack their headphones in and get on with their busy lives. I think video is number 2, and then I think articles get read, maybe once a week by the average person. So I'm going to kind of follow that trend and produce that scale of content. But thank you as always, guys, and good luck with everything, and take that advice I gave you today, because honestly I think it's one of the most important things that a young man can do, and it connects to so much more. Like I've spoken about before, the male advantage, which I think I'll get on the mic and do a little chat about soon, and many other components. So good luck with everything, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.